Hello, my name is Nicolas Polimanakos. I work behind the scenes here at NORWAC, the Northwest Astrological Conference. Today I'm with Gemini Brett. How are you?
Greetings. I'm good. Things are crazy here, but good. And I'm really excited for NORWAC.
Yeah, no, me too, me too. We're gonna go over the schedule here, the three slots you're gonna speak at. I want to let everybody know who's watching that the conference is sold out in person, but the amazing thing about the times we live in is it's a hybrid conference, and you're able to watch this online wherever you are in the world. So if you want more information on this, you can go to norwac.net. You'll see the schedule, the speaker lineups, the lecture titles, the registration information there. Uh, you are speaking here three different slots. The first one is on Friday, the 23rd, and the name of your first lecture is called Synthesizing Several Systems of Celestial House Division, a practical approach to applied astrology. You just tested my skills, my speech, Mercury and Gemini skills right there.
Little alliteration for you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and it's all levels, which might be surprising with a title like that. But a thing that we come into that's challenging from the get is which house system to use.
Mhm.
And I use several. Um, and part of this and the way that I'll use it through applying to chart examples is just looking at the astronomy of a few different house systems and showing how utilizing a few different house systems really helps me glean more information about a particular person's vocation. So you'll hear things like the midheaven is above your head taught by so many astrologers, and that's just wrong. It's actually typically not even the highest part of the chart. So I want to show the astronomy first. I'm always about if we can learn the measurable side of the heavenly happenings, then we open up the keys to the immeasurable side, to the correspondences. And final thing I'll say here is we'll look really detailed at whole sign equal houses and a quadrant system, probably Placidus for a chart
Yes.
example. Um, I typically use all three of those in sessions. As somebody who chose a moniker like Gemini probably should. But really, my feeling is there's many parts of us, and different house systems actually speak to different parts of the soul or the self, and in space and in time. So we'll get into some philosophy and cosmology and strange places as well.
Yeah, no, it's interesting what you're saying here too, because I think I use several house systems too, by the way. I do that also, but I also know from my past experience of being present for your lectures that you're a very visual person too. Like I actually stood with you at conferences outside and we've done things visually, like you pointed the things out there. But I also know in your lectures that the visual part of your slides and stuff you work really hard on, and they really help those who are trying to understand, especially this type of thing, the visual placement of it, and accept the information that way. So, and the other thing is, and for other people watching or thinking about, checking out the conference online, we have a person in each a lecture slot that's there with the computer that's interacting and watching the chat online that relay questions to the speakers. And so that's another thing here. Let's just say if you wanted to check this lecture out here, that you would have a chance to ask a question to this. And saying that, that's an amazing first lecture, my friend. You get into Saturday on the 24th at 1:45 p.m. The name of your lecture is What in the Heavens is the Tropical Zodiac? So he's kind of continuing something here from your first lecture on the Friday. It almost seems like into the Saturday. Yeah.
It is indeed, especially since the tropical zodiac is the one of the three commonly utilized zodiacal cosmologies that utilizes both the ecliptic and the equator. Now, that might just sound like a lot of nerd speak right there, but as Nicholas just shared, I work a lot on my slides and illustrations and animations. In fact, I've been up since early hours today working on this What in the Heavens is the Tropical Zodiac. And really, it's What in the Heavens is the Zodiac, because I'm going to be showing constellational zodiacs,
Mhm.
sidereal zodiacs. It's important to know that that is plural and that the tropical zodiac is not. And looking at these three different cosmologies, because it's tricky, when you find out that the tropical signs don't align with the constellations as they once did. And that for somebody like me, born with the sun in Scorpio, it's said to be sidereal Libra, but
Yeah.
constellationally Virgo. What am I? Right? So,
Yeah.
what is this thing? I think a lot of people just revert to, well, it's just some symbolic system, but I'm very fond of saying astrology is so much more than some symbolic language alone. It is the poetic breath of nature.
Hmm.
And when we reconnect to the living sky, then we will remember the roots of the rules and the proofs of the astrological equations we use. So, I'm especially excited to defend 12ness in the whole midst of the 13 sign memes that go around so
Yes, I was about to
frequently
ask you
these
this because this
days.
comes up in the press out there in the universe. There'll be some random article all of a sudden just shows itself up about the 13th sign
Right.
and not understanding
I'll give
precession of
away a joke that will be in the lecture, which is that I think we 12 sign astrologers have come to pronounce Ophiuchus, oh, fuck us. Um, love the
yeah.
constellation, and I'll show actually why it's so important
Yeah.
always and also in our time. But 12 signs, so we're going to look into 12ness in the sister sciences of sacred geometry, of musical harmony, but mostly we'll be in the sacred astronomy and really kind of decoding like the very real and elegant and beautiful, and frankly, once you get it, simple astronomy of the tropical zodiac. So you will leave this lecture with everything you need to know to defend yourself against the attacks that happen at the holiday table when somebody says
Yes.
your signs aren't even aligned to the stars like they did, and so it's all
I
fake.
think we're due. We haven't heard something come up on the internet as of late, but I think it's due. Something's going to pop up here soon on this. So, but yeah, it's good to know these things. I again, uh, I just from your work and what you do, I just like the way you presented information, and also the underlying current of what you do, my friend, is to understand our how intertwined we are with nature,
Mhm.
and how these different ways of accessing nature, whether it's visual, right? Or it's through myth and the combination thereof, so on and so forth. So saying that, again, anybody's interested to check out, go to norwac.net. You can see the speaker lineups, the lecture titles, a little bit more of an explanation of all the lectures, the registration page, et cetera, et cetera. There's a bunch of things that happen too if you're watching online. We have these Q&As that happen in between the lecture slots for like 30 to 40 minutes. All the speakers at NORWAC are involved in at least one Q&A that happens. Uh, I think, yeah, you're on Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific. Samantha will be facilitating that. You're with, at this time, Gigi Corvo, Celeste Brooks, Jason Holly, Nick Lasky, and yourself. We do these in between all the lectures. People who are online watching have a chance to ask questions. And usually within that quick period of time, there's like a improvisational conversation that happens. And it's always interesting. I had to facilitate these last year, some of them, and the conversations were amazing, actually. And then you're done and going to the next lecture. So saying that, that is part of the conference if you're interested. We also have pre-conference workshops and post-conference workshops, and you are doing a post-conference workshop on Monday. Uh, where in the world? Question mark. I like this. Astrocartography and other powerful techniques of astrolocality. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I love astro mapping. It's something that I do frequently in my client work. Um, it's just amazing that it works, in a sea of just wild stuff that astrology brings our way. I feel like it takes the cake. It's also so astronomical, so it really kind of dovetails, especially off of the houses lecture that I'll be giving on Friday. Not that you have to come to that lecture to have what you need to dive into the where in the world post-conference workshop. We'll use some live chart examples. I'm really going to treat it as a survey to present many of the different astro mapping techniques. I think most people are familiar with astrocartography, as Jim Lewis called it. I think I said astrophotography, astrocartography. But we can move astrocartography through time. So cyclocartography is a really amazing
Huh.
tool to tune into. And then also local space techniques, which really have global reach, but they extend from a particular place. So the idea of relocating your chart, which for me is like the crown jewel of astrolocality, right? Just the same moment of your birth, so the planets are in the same signs, the same relations to one another. We measure all of that from the center of the earth, where we are all one. Like, I think that's such a beautiful thing because it's really
Mhm.
telling us in that regard that our chart speaks for the truth that we are experiencing Earth's experience of the heavens. But then where we are on the surface of Earth, like, that's not only difference in culture and cuisine and language and all that, right? But the planets are going to be in different houses. You'll have a different rising sign and a midheaven degree for every different place on the beautiful surface of the Earth in any moment of time, right? And taking that moment of time, if you're becoming, and look how it was expressed in places around the world, can really help us kind of tune into some of your own personal power places and strange places and things like that. So it's always a fun workshop to do because it's in many regards very set. I have many illustrations, animations to support the transmissions, but then in a way it just depends on what happens in the room. And in this case, in rooms around the world, quite appropriately, because as Nicholas shared before, right, this is a hybrid conference. And so
Yeah.
I'll take at least one chart example from somebody that's beaming in from somewhere in a distant place in that same
Ye-
moment.
Yeah, no, that's apropos for what you're doing there too. Recently I had to travel overseas the beginning of the year, and it's when I was like, I was with other astrologers, right? And this came up, so I relocated my chart for that time, and my moon even changed. It was wild. It was interesting, and I think more than ever because of the times we've come to live in, because of technology and the movement of people, and how people can live on the other side of the world and still work and stuff. So I think to know these things, I even know from being a practicing astrologer, I've had just in the last 3 or 4 years more specific questions about relocation and stuff like that too. It's just part of the times, and I think it's really good to have in your toolbox as an astrologer, to understand things like this. So anyway, if those watching, the interesting thing about a pre and post conference workshop, let's say you just want to attend this astrocartography locality workshop, you can just purchase that on its own. Even if you can't attend the conference for the weekend, even though we would love to have you, let's say you go to the conference weekend and you want to do this post conference workshop, you'll get a price break when you do that. Regardless, whatever you purchase online, you're also going to have time afterwards to watch. If you're a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday attendee, you have 2 weeks to watch all the lectures. There's a time here with the pre and posts here, so you have time to take in information, so on and so forth.
It's such a
Yeah.
beautiful thing that NORWAC does because there's so much wonderful content. There's so many wonderful astrologers. You can never decide where to go. It'd be nice
Yeah.
if we could just biolocate ourselves, but we can, right? You can go to a lecture live and then catch three that happened at the same time later, right?
Yeah, it's usually the interesting dilemma about conferences because you see a slot and then you're like, oh, which one do I go to? Now, you don't have to deal with that one anymore. You could go to all of them really in a certain amount of time. So saying that, if anybody wants to know more about the conference, you can go to norwac.net. You can see the schedule, the registration page, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be good to see you, my friend, in a couple weeks here. It's always good to see astrologers. I will say face to face is always interesting, but I had some interesting experiences over the last couple of years of doing these online Norwacs too, because I met people in the chat rooms,
Mm.
and I've had certain things come out of there. Like I've seen people meet each other on the chat rooms and then do projects later with their own astrology. It's
Happened
interesting.
for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I met Joe G through one of the Q&As at NORWAC. I don't think it was the Q&A that I was on. I think I was just attending a Q&A of other lecturers, and we started chatting there about astrology and music and how the two tie, something you're
yeah,
also
yeah.
interested in, I know. And yeah, hit it off, and we've done a lot of work together since. So
Yeah, yeah. So that's the amazing thing about in person and online stuff like this is you never know who you're going to meet. You never know. You might see a lecture you have no interest in because supposedly it's not the astrology you're into, but you go check it out anyway, and it rocks your world. It puts you on a different trajectory. And it's all these things combined. It's we get to talk and speak the language with each other. So it'll be good to see you in a couple of weeks, my friend.
be good to see you too. And for those of you who are attending in person, I look forward to bumping into you in the halls. I'm thinking Sunday night for those of you who stay for the post conference. Maybe we'll get out and actually work the sky at night. Not dark skies there at the hotel parking lot, but we can see enough to really connect to the sky in real time. And
Yeah.
then we're bringing our baby up as well, so she's
Yeah,
gonna
no, that's great,
get
my
an
friend.
early astrology hit.
Yeah, I got the you already I'm already looking at you. We're talking here and I can see there's a different look in your eye. There's a
Yeah.
different something, my friend. I'm digging it. You got that something, that life thing, like so as always happens with when people, have children, I notice it. And talk about another world that just opens up other worlds when people have kids. They just see the world differently. So anyway, but good to see everybody. Again, anybody watching, you're interested, go to norwac.net. These are part of a video series. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you check the playlist out because I got a bunch of other interviews up there. And on that note, hopefully we see you the weekend of May 22nd to the 26th. All right. Bye, everyone.